What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have 3 vegan slow cooker recipes to share with you. I have been loving my slow cooker lately. All winter, I've been making vegan slow cooker recipes, just like throwing a bunch of veggies and beans together, and I've been making some pretty bomb creations. The first recipe I have for you is a white bean shredded mushroom chili. The second recipe I have for you is a jackfruit tortilla soup using jackfruit as like shredded chicken. And the last recipe I have for you is a P.F. Chang's copycat vegan lettuce cups recipe. And that one is also so delicious. And in that recipe, I also try out my Instant Pot's slow cook function, which I have never actually used before. So I figured I would test out my Instant Pot slow cooker in this video. I've noticed it's kind of hard to find plant-based slow cooker recipes online because a lot of them are meat-based. I feel like it's less common to like slow cook veggies, but I've been having a lot of fun with my crock pot, and it's really easy to throw all these recipes together and then come home at the end of the day to a warm meal. Before we get into the video, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe if you are new. And you can find all these recipes on my blog, shantyveggie.com. I will link it down below so you can have like a written out format. And let's just jump into these recipes. Okay, the first recipe I have for you today is shredded mushroom white bean chili. I've made it about 5 times the past 2 months. It is seriously so delicious. So for the shredded mushrooms, I'm gonna be using these white button mushrooms. I tried to find ones that were like extra large, and king oyster mushrooms, if you can find those would actually be best because they're really easy to shred up and they look kind of like chicken, but I can't find them in any grocery stores near me. That's why I am subbing with these giant white button mushrooms, and I'll show you how I'm gonna slice them up into little shreds. First, take apart the stem from the top part, and then you're gonna slice it in one direction, and then stack it up and then slice it in the other way. And that's what they all look like. For the stem, I just use my hands and rip it apart into shreds. It just pulls apart really easily. Next, we're gonna cook the mushrooms down a little bit. So in a skillet, heat up some oil and then add in your mushrooms. Next, I added in a sprinkle of this chickenless seasoning salt. This is from Trader Joe's, so if you don't have this, you can just add in a combination of these spices. And I cooked them just for 5 minutes so that they become more like soft and flexible and absorb the chicken flavor. And also, if you add them into the crock pot when they're raw, they kind of break apart. So yeah, this just helps them not break apart. And while those are cooking, I just diced up the onion for the recipe. So after about 5 minutes, this is what your mushroom shreds should look like, and just turn the heat off and set them aside for now. And next, we're ready to throw everything in the crock pot. So first, I drained and rinsed 3 cans of white kidney beans, and I saved a cup of them to mash them up. And now you're just gonna throw all the ingredients into the crock pot. So I have 1 diced onion going in. This is 4 cloves of minced garlic, a half of a jalapeno, but you don't need to add it in if you don't want it to be so spicy. I added 2 cans of these green chilies, the beans, and the mashed beans, and all of the mushrooms. For spices, I added 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and a little sprinkle of cayenne. And I added in 2 cups of this homemade veggie broth. Give all those ingredients a stir. And I put the cover on and let it cook for 6 hours on high. My crock pot is not very strong, so I cook everything on 6 hours for high. But yeah, if you want to cook it on low, then you could do that too. So for this next step, you can just do this at the beginning of the cooking process, but when I was filming this, I did it halfway through. I'm adding in 1.5 cups of fire roasted frozen corn and 1/2 cup of tahini. You could also use cashew butter in place of tahini. But yeah, I did this towards the end of the cooking process, but you can definitely just do it at the beginning, make it way easier and one less step. And this is what it looks like when it's finished cooking. As you can see, it gets super creamy. I topped it off with some cheese so I could use it as like a dip with crackers, and it was so good. You don't have to do that, but yeah, that's the end of this first recipe. It is seriously one of my favorites. You guys should definitely try it out. The second recipe I am going to share with you guys today is this jackfruit tortilla soup. I use jackfruit in this recipe to be like shredded chicken again. You can buy jackfruit in a can like this at Trader Joe's. It comes in a brine, so you want to drain and rinse it off really well. And then I also like to squeeze out the excess liquid with my hands. The brine kind of tastes weird to me. I don't know, it has like a weird flavor. So I just try and get all of the liquid out as best as I can. And then I also use my hands to shred it up. So now I'm just adding all the ingredients to my crock pot. I have 1 diced onion, 4 cloves of minced garlic, 1 can of black beans drained and rinsed, shredded jackfruit. This is what it looks like after it's all shredded up. Next I added a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 1 cup of fire roasted frozen corn, and 4 cups of veggie broth. And then for spices, I added a 1/2 tablespoon of chili powder, a sprinkle of cayenne, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 2 teaspoons of cumin. And I also added some of this vegan chicken seasoning salt just to give it some more flavor. But you don't have to. You could just add regular salt. And then I stirred it all up, put the lid on, and I'm gonna cook this for 6 hours on high. Once again, you can cook it on low for 6 hours, but my crock pot is very not powerful. And this is what it looks like when it's done. I topped it off with some of these crushed bean chips. And some vegan cheese. And a squeeze of lime juice. And cilantro. And it was very delicious. For this next recipe, I wanted to make something a little bit more fun rather than like a soup, because I feel like I always make soups. I made these slow cooker chickpea lettuce cups in the crock pot. They came out so delicious, and they had a ton of veggies in them, and they were super good. You could definitely make this on the stovetop, but it was kind of fun to make in the crock pot because you just put all the ingredients in it and forget about it, and I feel like the flavor gets absorbed more in the slow cooker. So yeah, I'll show you guys how I made it. I'm using my Instant Pot slow cook feature for the first time. I've never used my slow cooker on the Instant Pot, so I figured I'd give it a try. So first I'm adding in 4 ounces of diced mushrooms, 1 cup of shredded carrots, 1/2 of a head of cauliflower diced, a tablespoon of grated ginger, and 2 cloves of minced garlic, 1 can of water chestnuts diced, a 1/2 a red bell pepper diced, a can of chickpeas drained and rinsed, a 1/4 cup of hoisin sauce, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and a 1/4 cup of veggie broth, and a teaspoon of sesame oil. Mix those all together. And then all you do is press the slow cook button, and then I did 4 hours for this recipe. And then this is how it turned out when it was done. To thicken it up a little bit, I added a cornstarch slurry, and then I put the Instant Pot back on saute, which is a really cool feature to have because normal crock pots don't have a saute function, or at least mine doesn't. And then to serve, I just scooped a little bit of the mixture onto some butter lettuce leaves. Butter lettuce is so good for this recipe because it's nice and soft and tender. And yeah, this is how they turned out. They came out so yummy. I will definitely be adding this to my arsenal of regular recipes. Came out really good. Well, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for joining me for these recipes. You can find all these recipes on my blog, shantyveggie.com. I feel like I never plug my blog enough. I have a recipe blog. If you guys didn't know, I made it in quarantine, and it's been like a slow work in progress, but all these recipes will be on my blog. I will link it in the description box so you can find them written out, easy to read over there. And make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe before you go. Let me know what other types of videos you want to see on my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.